Today we are going to outline the sequence of tenses, and your essential question is, what is sequence of tenses and why is it important? This is an extension of what we did last class. Your homework is going to be page 108 in your workbook. Bellwork 9.8 what says, write sentences with the following combinations of verbs. Use the first verb in the main clause and the second verb in the subordinate clause. We have pensó and participaría. Pensó being a preterite verb and participaría being a conditional verb. Rosa pensó que participaría en el campeonato de ciclismo este año. Rosa thought that she would participate in the championship of cycling this year. We have declarará, and prefiere. This means will declare and prefers. So, Paula declarará que prefiere escribir cuentos de hadas. Paula will declare that she prefers to write fairy tales. We have sorprende and vaya. Me sorprende que vayas a la exposición de arte colonial. It surprises me that you go to the colonial art exhibit. Let's check our homework. Alma me sugiere que me mantenga informado. Estuve or estoy, so it's going to be estoy, seguro. I am sure that she reads the newspaper. Lamenta que no estemos. It saddens me that we don't agree with him. Aconsejale que haga esfuerzo. I advise him to make an effort. And mamá dice que ella veía. Mama says that she saw the news. Activity 26. Complete the sentences with the correct verb in the parentheses. He escuchado que los monumentos de Washington, D.C. han sido, have been, built well. Mis amigos dicen que muchos turistas irán, future tense. So my friends say that many tourists will go to the city this year. My parents will see that the city has changed, cambió, a lot during the last decade, and espero que ellos puedan. I hope that they can go to the monuments. This one's subjunctive. Now we're going to do more on sequence of tenses. Let's take some notes. As you know, sequence of tenses describes the agreement between the verb and the main clause and the verb in the subordinate clause. The verb tense in the subordinate clause is determined by the verb in the main clause. So, sé que quieres ir. I know that you want to go. Sé being in the present tense and quieres being in the present tense. Sabía que querías ir. I knew that you wanted to go. Sabía being in the imperfect and querías being in the imperfect also. Remember, saber in the preterite means found out. So, supe, I found out that you wanted to go. Supe can also go in that first one. If the main clause is in the preterite, imperfect, past perfect, or conditional, and if there's no expression requiring the subjunctive, the subordinate clause will get the indicative. That's regular old present tense or future, and is generally in the past. So, in the main clause, if you had dijo, which is preterite, I said, decía, as I used to say or I was saying, había dicho is I had said, and diría as I would say. Then you have your K. In the subordinate clause, you're going to have either the preterite, the imperfect, the conditional, or you can have the past perfect. And these are all indicative. So, fue al cine is I went to the movies. So, dijo que fue al cine is I said that he went to the movies. Or he said that he went to the movies. Decía que iba al cine mañana. You can have decía fue, decía iría. Any combination of these works. But he was going to the movies tomorrow. He would go to the next day, or he had gone on foot. So again, you can have any combination of any of these verbs with any of these verbs. You could have decía que había ido. He was saying that he had gone on foot. That makes sense. Any of those do. Now, in some cases, if the main clause is in the past or the conditional and contains an expression requiring the subjunctive, the subordinate clause has to be in the past subjunctive, which is like your imperfect subjunctive. So quería or le gustaría, both of those being quería is in the imperfect and le gustaría is in the conditional. He wanted or he would like that fuéramos, we would go. So notice there's a change in subject between quería, gustaría being in the L form, and then fuéramos is in the nosotros form. Remember, in order to have the subjunctive, you have to have a change of subject, you have to have a K, and there has to be some sort of doubt. So he wanted us to go to the movies today, but that may or may not happen. And then le gustaría, he would like for us to go to the movies today. That one's still going to be in the subjunctive, and it's imperfect only if you have the imperfect or the conditional up in the front. So let's look at how this works. This is page 391 in your textbook, and this is activity 39. It says complete each sentence with the correct verb. So Christopher Columbus decided that he would look for a new route to the Indies. Decided, this being in the preterite up here, means that we have to have, since he decided it and there's no doubt, buscaría, we're going to have the imperfect back here. There's no doubt. And no change of subject. Oh, excuse me, that's a conditional verb. There's no subjunctive back here, imperfect subjunctive. And this one is imperfect subjunctive. Since there's no doubt, we have to use a conditional. Él ya le había pedido al rey de Portugal que. So he already had asked the king of Portugal to pay for his trip. So he asked that he pay. So since we have a change of subject and he may or may not pay for it, we're going to use the imperfect subjunctive, pagará, over here. El rey, the king, did not believe that it was a good idea. Since he didn't believe it and he was unsure, this is going to be fuera, because remember, no creer is a subjunctive indicator. Since this one, creía, is in the imperfect, we need imperfect subjunctive on this side. But Queen Isabel of Castile said that she would help with the trip if they gave her more information about the exploration. So she said that she would help. Alright, it says she would help. That's going to be a conditional verb. Said that she helped doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sería bueno que todos fuimos en fuéramos. So here we have a preterite and an imperfect subjunctive verb. It would be a good idea if everyone went to the monument of Colón in Barcelona. That doesn't mean that they should go, but it would be a good idea. So we're going to use the imperfect subjunctive. My dad took photos of the monument so that he would be able to remember it. Alright, he took them, so we know we're going to need something in the past tense after it. So we have pudiera, which is imperfect subjunctive, and pueda, which is regular subjunctive. So it's going to have to be pudiera. He told me that he either went or had gone only one time to Barcelona. Since he told me, there's no doubt, so we can't have any subjunctive. We have to have había ido. That's a statement of fact. And there's no change of subject. He told me and he had gone. I would like it if we saw the new movie about Colón. Would like it. We have a conditional up here, so we're going to use the imperfect subjunctive in the back, because since we have conditional, we have to be followed by the past subjunctive, viéramos. Alright, this is page 391 in your textbook, and it's activity 40. Complete the following sentences with the correct verb in parentheses. The professor of history suggested that we study. Now, he suggested it, but that doesn't mean that we're going to. So here we're going to have to choose an imperfect subjunctive verb. So estudiaron, estudiáramos. We have to drop ron and add ra, mos. Estudiáramos. Also, he had asked us that we interview someone from this time period. Okay. He had asked. Since we have a past perfect up in the front, we're going to use imperfect subjunctive in the back. Entrevistáramos. The professor recommended to me that I visit a battlefield. He recommended it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it. So we're going to need, and since this is past tense, we're going to need, again, an imperfect subjunctive, visitara. It interested me a lot that my grandfather told me about the revolution. It interests me, so, and it's a statement of fact. So we got contó back here. He always said that the revolution was important for our country. He said it. There's no doubt. Therefore, we're going to use the preterite, fue. It surprised me that this is a statement of emotion. Since this is a statement of emotion, we have to have the subjunctive back here. And since this is in the preterite, this has got to be in the imperfect subjunctive, recordara. So it surprised me that my grandfather could remembered all of the details as if it were yesterday. Page 391, this is activity 41. So we are going to write each sentence in the past, replacing the verb that's underlined in parentheses. They think that the movie is good. And we need to say they thought. So they thought that the movie was good. Alright, because this pensaron is in the past. Back here, we have to put this in the past. So era imperfect. Because it's a description. Marisa prefers that we go to a movie, a fantasy movie. And we want to say prefería. She prefers that means that, and since this verb's in the subjunctive, we have to worry about prefería going here, and back here we have to put it in for perfect subjunctive. Since this is the verb ir, fueron would be fuéramos. Yes, fuéramos. Blanca says that she has already seen it. And we want to say she said that she already saw it. So here, instead of ha visto, we're going to take a and put it in the imperfect. So había. Blanca dijo que ya la había visto. Blanca says that she had already seen it, or said that she had already seen it. I believe that the new movie has left. Okay, so we have creía up here, so we need to change a to a past tense verb, so it's going to be había. Yeah. The professor has asked that we see this movie. So had asked, había pedido, we're going to put up here. Veamos, we're going to have to put in the imperfect subjunctive. So viéramos esta película. It's strange to me that Blanca wants to see it. It was strange. Se extrañó. Okay, Blanca. Quiera has got to be put in the imperfect subjunctive. So quisiera. That's one of the irregular ones. Quisiera. And then Marta nos recomienda. She had recommended is what they want there. Since Marta had recommended that we do another activity, hagamos has got to be put in the past subjunctive, imperfect subjunctive. So, hicieron, so hiciéramos? Yeah, hiciéramos. Let's work on our Gramatica 2 worksheet. Lorenzo is talking with Carlos about running in a marathon. Complete their conversation with the indicative or subjunctive of the verb according to the context. Quiero que is a subjunctive indicator, so nosotros, we need the subjunctive form, which is going to be, oops, not even locked. Locked. So, we are going to choose corramos. Of course, I believe means it's a statement of fact, so we're going to choose estamos. That we are ready for the marathon. And what do you think? It doesn't seem to me, it doesn't seem, that means there's some room for doubt. So we're going to use the subjunctive in this one, estemos, that we are well prepared. We should train some more. Therefore, I suggest, that's a subjunctive indicator. So, preparemos. What do you think? Excellent. I am sure. If I'm sure, there's no doubt, and therefore we're going to choose vamos. I am sure that we should go. So, activity B. Now we're going to complete each sentence with the past or present subjunctive of the verb in parentheses according to the context. So if we look at this first one, we have recomienda. Since that's in the present tense, we're going to choose a present subjunctive verb. So investiguemos. Remember, this is a G to GU verb. The importance of the history and that. Again, we are still trying to use present tense, so nos mantengamos, we're still going to keep it in the present subjunctive. Él les pidió. That is a preterite verb. Therefore, this verb has got to be in the imperfect subjunctive. So, escogieron. Escogieran. Sorry. So, he asked you all to choose a historical event and to write. So, again, since this one is preterite, we're still going to choose imperfect subjunctive. So, escribieran. A paragraph about the same. He suggested. This is a preterite verb, therefore this one has to be imperfect subjunctive. So, entrevistara a journalist. So he suggested that Raul interview a journalist and that he look, buscara, information on the library. Again, imperfect subjunctive because this verb's in the preterite. Entrevisté, I interviewed my dad and it surprises me. So this one is present tense. So this one needs to be present subjunctive. Recuerde. O to U, Eastem, changing verb in the present. It surprises me that he remembers so many details and that he knew so much about the history. Saber is irregular in the present subjunctive, so sepa. In truth, it is necessary that you know very well the history. You know the history. This one's present, so this one's going to be present subjunctive. Conozcas. And that you don't repeat the errors. Repeat, because this one's present. This one's going to be repitas. Activity C. Read the following sentences and then rewrite each subordinate clause with the correct sequence of tenses according to the verb in the main clause. Now here, Alejandro suggests that we see. So this one's subjunctive and this one's present tense. Since this one's past tense, this one needs to be imperfect subjunctive. Therefore, vieron, viéramos. Pablo says. This one's present tense and this one happens to be future. Since this one's preterite tense, that second verb is going to be in the conditional. Dijo que invitaría. And that's an accent mark right there. That's an accent mark right here. That's an accent mark right here. We are sure that the movie will be fantastic. Alright, this one is present tense and this one is future. This one is imperfect, so this one needs to be imperfect also. Sería. No, conditional. I'm sorry. We are sure that the movie will be fantastic. Yeah. Ernesto wants all of us to go to the release. So present tense, subjunctive. Imperfect means imperfect subjunctive over here. So vaya is ir. So fuéramos. Yes. Roberto is going to go. That's present tense. As soon as his brother arrives. This one's subjunctive because this is a subjunctive indicator. So since this one is imperfect, this one's going to be imperfect subjunctive. Llegará. Complete Ruben's letter with the subjunctive or the indicative forms of the verbs in the box. Make sure to base your answers on the verbs in the clause of the other sentence. So we have recommend, to honor, to end, to ask for, and to write. Dear sister, our professor of history something us that we do an essay. So probably recommend. And I'm going to say hiciéramos. This one's in the imperfect subjunctive. So this one is going to have to be, asked us. Preterite. I guess you could do PDO there. Okay, maybe recommend or go somewhere else more important. PDO is in the preterite. So our history professor asked us that we do an essay about the fight for the independence in Latin America, and I want you to blank me some books about this topic. Okay, this one has to be recommend. Alright, so recommend to me. Quiero que, that's present tense, so this one's going to be subjunctive. Recomiendes, some books about this topic. Nos dijo, he said to us that, and then we have a blank. He said to us blank about the battles of independence. Write about the battles. Okay, this one's preterite, so this one's going to have to be a past tense verb also. So escribiéramos, about the battles. Because it is important that, es importante que is a subjunctive indicator. Nosotros, this one has to be present subjunctive, so honremos. So it's important that we honor the heroes that made the victory possible. I promise that I will show you my essay as soon as. As soon as is a subjunctive indicator, and as soon as I finish it. So we're going to use termine, present subjunctive. Okay, you have two activities for sequence of tenses practice that I need to see you doing, and you have a summary paragraph to complete on Edmodo.